Dealerships are not happy with the transition to electric vehicles. Today, we're going to talk about why. Over automotive news, skepticism meets Biden EV push. If you're new to the channel, my name's Kirk. This is Kirky Cars, where I discuss EV matters, EV news, EV technology. So let's get into what's happening with dealerships right now. There are a lot of mixed opinions here about where the government is pushing the automotive industry. Dealers don't like to be told what to do. They like to be in control of what's going on, probably like any other business, right? Me as a small business, I don't like to be told what to do, and I like to have the most control possible over my future and how I run business. And 82% of dealers are still selling or preparing to sell EVs at their stores. And in this 2023 Dealer Outlook survey of 264 dealers and dealership managers, we have a lot more information coming to us about their feelings of where things are headed. Most dealerships in January said they have installed charging infrastructure, followed by purchasing and installing service department equipment and training or hiring technicians specifically for EV maintenance and repair. Poll number 1, how did the Biden administration affect your business in 2022? The majority say negatively. About a quarter said no effect. Very few said positively, and 6% were unsure. Not good for the Biden administration and dealerships right now. What effect do you think the split Congress will have on the auto industry? We know a split Congress doesn't get much done. The biggest portion is saying no, in fact. 25% is saying not sure. Almost a quarter are saying positively, and the smallest amount are saying it will negatively affect. Do you support the president and his goals for half of all new vehicles sold in the US in 2030 to be zero emission? This was the most surprising one for me. 70% say no. They don't support where the vehicle market is going, where the government wants it to go. 11% is unsure, and only 19% are in support of half of the new vehicles sold in 2030 to be zero emission. So we also have the new Inflation Reduction Act, including a new tax credit for income qualified buyers that's equal to 30% of the total cost of a used battery electric plug-in hybrid or fuel cell vehicle. It's capped at $4,000. Do you support this provision? About half say no. 37% say yes. It's actually pretty high there, because it should, in theory, help them sell more used electric vehicles. And then 17% are unsure. Next poll, how do you expect the Inflation Reduction Act's EV tax credits will affect your business and your ability to sell EVs? The largest group says no effect. The next group says positively. The next group says negatively, and then the smallest group says unsure. Okay, and we know 82% are preparing to sell EVs or currently selling EVs. And of those 82%, what steps have you taken to prepare your dealership to sell those EVs? 82% have already installed some sort of charging infrastructure. Probably not going to be enough, to be honest, because installing charging infrastructure at the dealership is not cheap. They have also purchased and installed service department equipment to maintain and repair EVs. They've been investing in training on the technician end as well as the sales end. They've upgraded the dealership electrical supply capacity, which is pretty much necessary to install a robust charging infrastructure. And they've also purchased and installed showroom equipment tools to display and sell EVs. A Subaru store who sells the Solterra, Subaru will be using a couple more Toyota EVs to have a 2 to 3 out on the market by 2025. They'll start building their own after that in Japan. And in 2027, they'll actually have their own dedicated assembly line and their own Gunma plant. But until then, it's pretty much going to be the Toyota show for Subaru. Despite that, this Subaru store in California has poured $150,000 into EV chargers and other related infrastructure investments. And Lorenzo Serrano, the former general manager of a Subaru store, said the investments that were being forced to make by the manufacturers are not consistent with a good business plan. He says, quite honestly, I would say I blame the Biden administration, and I think the push comes from Biden to manufacturers, and they have to react to it. Now, we have a Lincoln dealer, Dick Fitzpatrick, says he's generally in favor of Biden's direction on EVs. He thinks it's the right thing to do. We've got to clean up our environment and our air for the next generation. So how do you feel about the dealers and their feelings towards the current policies for the next decade? I can see both sides of it, but also as a business owner, I don't like to be pushed into a specific direction, especially a very costly direction. All right, over at Reuters, Ford cuts Rivian stake to about 1% amid production woes at the EV automaker. Ford held a stake of over 11% in Rivian at the end of 2021, and the new stake comes a week after Reuters reported Rivian's plans to lay off 6% of its staff to cut costs amid falling cash reserves on the back of mounting economic worries. Rivian shares also had a bleak 2022, losing 82% of their value, and shares right after this Ford announcement went down an additional 2.5% for Rivian. Doesn't look good for Rivian. I honestly don't. I mean, I want them to succeed because, I like the underdog story. I like the startup. I think they make good vehicles from my understanding. I haven't driven one, but it sounds like owners, for the most part, really enjoy the Rivians. The technology is quite amazing. The amount of power and torque is impressive as well. If you're not able to pump out the vehicles, if you're not able to turn a profit, and if you're burning through your cash reserves, I don't think Rivian is long for this world, but I'll see you guys down below on that as well. Thank you for watching. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.